The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN, 8:30 a.m. Friday morning, 60 minutes to go until that opening bell. And quite a morning. We've got quite a 12-hour news cycle. The story, of course, of the morning, President Trump and his wife Melania testing positive for the coronavirus. That roiling markets, roiling politics, roiling the globe probably overnight. The markets, not as bad as you might really figure, folks, when you pull things up. I mean, we're down 45 points in the S&Ps right now. You're talking about 1.4%. The Dow's down about 1.3%. You have NASDAQ futures down 2%. Okay, you got the S&Ps, though, for some context, we're back to where we were, folks, Wednesday morning in the markets. And the deal of a stimulus deal has not appeared, okay? And the president now has COVID. If that stretches to further aids, how does that play out with the campaign? How does that play into his chances? How does that just play into the country? And we wish the president and his wife and Hope Hicks and anybody else the best out there for sure. Whether you agree or disagree on politics, folks, you know, he's the president. You got to root for the best for him, and we go from there. The shame of all of this is, you know, masks and the politicization of masks. Wear a mask, folks, if you can. Social distance if you can. Mask really not worn in the White House. And even in an environment where you get tested every single day, every single person that comes in, those tests not always 100% accurate. You can have the coronavirus and not have the amount of virus in your body that's already excreting to maybe show up positive for the virus. The next question comes down for the timeline in terms of how this happened. The story's breaking that Hope Hicks kind of knew almost Wednesday night. Maybe she tested positive Thursday morning. If she tested positive Thursday morning, you had the president on Sean Hannity last night at 9 o'clock saying he had just gotten tested. Not sure how the president would just got tested then with the resources they have. I'm sure they have testing available anytime they need it right there. If Hope Hicks got tested in the morning, especially important to understand because the president spent the day yesterday in New Jersey interacting as well, many times not wearing a mask, etc. So we wish everybody the best. Folks, wear a mask if you can out there. It's the best thing. As the CDC director said, it might even protect you better than a vaccine could, because the vaccines aren't going to be perfect. Even the president that gets tested around him, to every single person that comes in, that's not perfect either. Sometimes a mask, it might do the job though. Mask's not perfect as well, but everything helps. S&Ps, minus 45 points, folks. As I said, right, I woke up this morning at about 6 in the morning, and first notification I saw out there was that the president had COVID. Second thing, I said, oh, man, what is going on with the markets? I had fallen asleep. What did I miss? They're talking about in the den that not a lot of sleep in the evening if you're in there in the den. But all things considered, you could have been dramatically in worse shape than we are right now in the markets when you really bring it back. We got no stimulus, and we have a president who has a virus that's potentially deadly, and we have the markets trading at where we were on Wednesday, and we have an election coming up in 4.5 weeks. Presidential debates going forward, not sure those are happening, not sure it really affects the market. Now, this is just my expectations for everything. Vice presidential debate, probably not happening as well. Maybe you have something happen online. I don't know. It's all out there, folks. Talk about, I mean, an election like none other just got even more interesting, you could say. Just amazing markets. Jump over to the VIX a bit. So, I mean, with that in mind, it's a strong market, folks. I mean, you know, we're at 32.22. We were trading at 33.60 yesterday. It's pretty staggering news that you have President Trump and his wife contracting this virus, and the market's only within, you know, about 1% to 2% of where we were. And that's after trading higher this week. That's after we got a bump, almost expecting a stimulus deal that we didn't get either, right? The VIX, I mean, 28.66, not bad. Not bad with everything going on, but the VIX trading off the market not that bad at all. Commodities, we got gold down about $2. Gold at 1923. Gold trading higher overnight. Inverse with the market, you are right under 1900 when the news initially broke. We're about $13 higher. We were as high as 1923. Silver, negative 15 cents at 24.09. And notes and bonds, we got a little bit of positive action. I mean, quite the day yesterday, right? Even the 10-year. Look at this move in the 10-year now. We were down to 139.06. You made it back to about 139.16. Now we're up about 5 to 6 ticks on the session of the 10-year. And pulling up the 10-year yield right now, we're sitting at about 0.659%, so almost 0.66%, 0.66%, the yield on the 10-year. Okay, with that in mind, what else we have going on? Any other day, I would have been leading with this story right out of the bat in terms of waiting for the non-farm payrolls for the month of September. We just got that number at 8:30 a.m. as I came on the air. Rising by 661,000. That misses the mark, folks. Unemployment rate, though, falling. So unemployment, 7. We're in a 7 handle now, 7.9%, better than the 8.2, but only adding 661,000 jobs in September, lower than the 800,000. Not sure how, there's a lot that goes into this in terms of people who are still actively seeking a job. Maybe people are pulling themselves out of the workforce. But non-farm payrolls, because, they missed the mark by jobs, right? But somehow the unemployment better than they were thinking. Nonetheless, that number coming out right at, to pull it up, 8:30, and you see pretty muted reaction. We've dropped maybe a few points. We were at a high of 33.27. We're trading at 33.20. Not what you want to see. Where things really get interesting here, right, is if that jobs report had been bad enough, maybe there's more incentive to get a stimulus deal done. So how does that play in? We missed the mark. That's going to be more of an incentive. But guess what? Now we're at a 7.9% unemployment rate. So maybe Republicans don't feel the need as much with a 7 handle on the unemployment rate. Just so many variables coming into play with all of this. All right, jumping around to some of the FANG stocks just to see how this market. We got Amazon shares trading at $31.50. Now I bring up Amazon because the next story talking about coronavirus, this story was out last night. Almost 20,000 people, Amazon workers, have come down with the coronavirus. And this is where you really see, these workers, frontline workers out there. Think about if we didn't have Amazon, folks, during the peak of this. These online deliveries, grocery stores, people had to work through this. And now Amazon has, I believe, around 1 million employees. So you're talking about basically 2% of employees testing positive. But still, nonetheless, you're talking about 1.44%. Okay, 1.37 million. That's how many frontline Amazon and Whole Foods employees. So 1.44%, pretty close to in line, I think, with some of the infection rates across the country, even less so. But nonetheless, safety concerns for those workers. It's always been in the press, and then we finally have a number to go with it. Now, look at this market, folks. We're inching lower. I'm going to put this on a little 5-minute to see. Well, we'll put it on 1 minute even, just so you can see what we've been doing. That number was out at 8:30. We've now dropped about 12 S&P points. Might not be what we want, because you have a real problem here with senators in terms of the people interacting with Trump and Democrats. We just had the debate Tuesday night, of course, so you did have the news. Thankfully, Vice President Pence, his wife, testing negative, which is great. But you have a lot of senators that are going to be very wary. You have to come in person and vote. It makes it very difficult for a stimulus talk to even get passed right now, let alone with everything else going on with the president. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back in 3 minutes.
Many of our new listeners have heard about The Tiger's Den. The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of the TFNN shows, plus see all of the charts as they happen live and have access to archives of all of those charts. You can test drive The Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days and greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets and how to make your money work for you. Details on The Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com.
TFNN has launched our brand new website. You can still visit us at the same TFNN.com URL, but when you do, you'll see a new and improved homepage with a much simpler navigation, whether you're watching Tiger TV live in high definition or just accessing your newsletter subscriptions. We even have new pricing in 6 months and yearly options. Check out the new TFNN.com now and experience all the upgrades. TFNN.com, educating investors.
The gold market has taken off topside in a large way in 2020. If you want to take advantage of this sector, now is the time to subscribe to my gold report. The gold report took profits in 4 of its equities in the gold portfolio in the first week of January for a combined profit of 99.2%, with 2 positions left in the portfolio that have a profit of 67.5% as of January 7th. The Gold Report is a comprehensive look at the metals sector as well as the markets that move gold, which is the currency and bond markets. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Every Monday morning, I publish the Gold Report with coverage of gold, silver, bonds, the XAU, HUI, GDX, as well as more than 30 different mining equities. To see for yourself the types of profitable trades that are recommended within the Gold Report, sign up now by visiting TFNN.com. Don't miss out on the next great gold trade. Sign up today.
Are China A shares hot or not? If you trade China A shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A Share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Welcome back, folks. We get the S&Ps down about 50 points at 33.18. As I mentioned, folks, all things considering, we're right back to early Wednesday action. And the whole theme was that, we're charging higher on Mnuchin, Pelosi, their meeting, stimulus hopes. Didn't happen, didn't pan out at all. So we get no stimulus. And we get the president and his wife testing positive, along with aides. It's still not clear how many around the White House or even in Washington might be infected. You even had the Supreme Court nominee in the White House this past week. So it's remarkable how many people are in that circle, and we're only back to Wednesday trading on the S&P. Things could get pretty dicey on the open here. I was joking earlier, and of course, if you're a long-term investor, folks, this is going to be short-term volatility, okay? But who wants to be buying this weekend on the notion of any good news? I can't see any good news outside of a stimulus, but I don't see a stimulus coming this weekend. So what's the good news? What's the incentive to be a buyer today on Friday ahead of Monday with the potential for this story to really develop? And hopefully not. We hope for the best, but there is a potential for it to develop in a bad way over the weekend in terms of just the number of people that might be sick and how those people, hopefully, we wish them the best. But that story's out there, and it's a Friday that it breaks on. Very dicey to be a holder over the weekend with everything going on. I just don't see how you play that side of the scenario with everything here. It doesn't mean that we won't bounce and be okay on Monday, but the risk-reward ratio from upside to downside is pretty remarkable, and to only be back to where we were. I mean, at 3 o'clock on Wednesday, we were trading within 15 points of where we are right now on the S&P. Within 3 o'clock on Wednesday, and it's Friday morning. Think about what's happened. Stimulus talks have fallen apart. And now we have the coronavirus in the White House up to the president himself. You can't overstate it. It's remarkable. All right, jumping around to other news stories. So the payrolls number this morning, jumping into it a little bit more. And as I mentioned, you had a decline in the labor force participation rate, okay, to 61.4%. That's down 3.3 of a percentage point. That probably helping explain why we missed the number in terms of jobs added, 661,000. But with people coming out of the labor force, you actually bring down the unemployment rate to 7.9% as opposed to the 8.2. So I'm expecting that number might have been bigger than they were looking for, as opposed to, because somehow they were looking for 8.2% unemployment on 800,000. You only got 661,000, but you're still with a 7 handle on that number. Labor and hospitality led the gains, 318,000. Retail added 142,000. Healthcare and social assistance, 108,000. So good to see. Hospitality, retail, that's where people have just been decimated. Hopefully those jobs continue on that front. I mean, right there alone, that's about 500,000 hospitality and retail jobs added, but we got a long way to go. While millions more remain unemployed, September's activity means that about 12 million jobs have been recovered since the mid-March economic shutdown that saw about 22 million layoffs. 22 million layoffs. We've got 12 back. The last 10 going to be much more difficult than that first 12 for sure. Okay, other stories in terms of equities out here, individual equities. We got Tesla out there. They delivered almost 140,000 vehicles in Q3. So almost everything is negative today, folks, as you may expect. Tesla's negative as well, but this is a strong number for them. They expected 137 deliveries just ahead of the report. And let's see, they produced 145,000 vehicles. Not bad in terms of just in time pushing it out. They push out every vehicle they got. They make 145,000. They almost push out 140,000. As of Wednesday, they were looking for 137. Their estimates range from 123 to 147. So they came in at 140, right near the top end of what anybody was thinking about. And deliveries, the most closest approximation of sales numbers reported by Tesla. They were down 5%, of course, with the market. But jumping over to their shares this morning, and we're seeing this S&P slip, folks. We're a solid 15 points off of where we were when we started the program just 16 minutes ago. There you see Tesla down about $20, but as I mentioned, there is green across the board, folks, to the downside with everything going on in the market. All right, jumping around to other stories that caught my eye. Man, it is a tough time to be a real estate owner in one of these big cities. Manhattan, the biggest of them all. Apartment sales tumble 46%, leaving 10,000 unsold apartments. Now, if you have a fundamental knowledge of that market, and this might not be the low at all, but I imagine there's going to be a valley, and New York's going to come back, folks. It is. You know, there's going to take some time. There's going to have to take some time for organic growth to fill the spaces of other companies that just don't need those spaces anymore. But as a guy from the Northeast, got plenty of friends in New York. It's nothing like New York City. And just the market right now, though, you add on to it, of course, taxes. It's a real deal. Living in Florida, no state income taxes, beautiful weather, 12 months a year. The relocating going on. We got a lot of people coming down here from Florida. Come check it out, folks. It is a beautiful spot. Cost of living. When I moved down here, which is remarkable, about 15 years ago now from Boston, I remember, so we're talking about 2005-ish, right around that time, I was almost able to get a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment in an apartment complex for $500 a month, folks, in 2005. Now, that's not the case anymore. I'm not sure what that apartment's at right now, but coming from Boston, that was a mind-blowing experience. Add onto it that the apartment complex had a pool, and you had no state income taxes, and so that type of thing. It's just kept on going over 15 years. In Tampa Bay, especially, we got the Stanley Cup champion Lightning. We got Tom Brady for the Bucks, and we got a lot going on. Of course, the Rays as well. So 3 sports. We're very fortunate in Tampa, but the real estate market in some of these big cities, I'm sure you're seeing it in Seattle, San Francisco. Just not the same. Companies are not going to be doing business the way they had in high-rise buildings anytime soon, at least for the next couple of years, if not much longer. All right, other stories out there. Uber Freight, they raised $500 million, so Uber Freight alone pushing $3.3 billion valuation. It would maintain majority ownership of Uber Freight. This is Uber, it said, and use the funds to scale its logistics platform and increase product innovation. Unlike Uber's ride-hailing app or its food delivery service, Uber Freight operates as a middleman in the fragmented long-haul trucking business, connecting truckers with shippers. Pretty interesting, right? You really think that it's remarkable when the self-driving deal is going to come into play. Now, that is a long time, though, folks. I heard some analysis on Uber itself, and I am an Uber bull. But you better be an Uber bull, and I would agree, with the ability to make money and be a successful company now before you get to the stage of that company that's self-driving cars. But self-driving cars, no matter how optimistic you are, fully integrated into society, is many years away, to put it lightly. I think 10 years, 15 years, but I don't see 5 years cars everywhere being self-driving. Doesn't mean it's not possible though. It would just be accelerated, but everything's accelerating in terms of it's very difficult. I talk about it many times. Technology, it's moving at an exponential function, and our minds sometimes struggle to understand how fast things can go when they're exponential. COVID, one of them, as in exponential growth, but technology, one of them as well. I mean, we're right there, folks, to self-driving cars. Talking about, you have Amazon Alexa. One thing caught my eye, the Alexa Hunch, where it's Dave White talked about it with Tom last Friday, I think. It's going to begin to anticipate. You wake up, the coffee maker starts. You go to the door, it locks. So technology. Uber shares down, though, this morning at about $1.14. Stay tuned, folks. We'll finish up the program. We got these markets selling off a bit. The S&P is now down 56 points at 33.11, approaching the lows that we made at about 6 and also at 1:30 last night. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back.
Back in the day, I joined Hotel California in 2006, and like many of you, was drawn in by, as well as...
Whatever you think about, you bring about. Whatever you focus on grows.
You see, I believe that everything in life happens for us, not to us, and Tom ignited the fire within me to want to learn how to master the markets. So how did I go from knowing nothing about technical analysis to becoming the #1 market timer for the S&P 500 in 2018 and the #2 market timer in 2019? Simply put, I hired coaches with a proven track record, which led me to a whole new set of tools that I created to interpret the message of buyers and sellers. I would love the opportunity to teach you this award-winning set of tools and to help you improve your market timing. You can test drive my newsletter service, Mastering Probabilities, for the next 30 days with no risk to you. Plus, you'll gain access to archive workshops that'll take you step-by-step through my system. Sign up today by going to the homepage of TFNN.com and selecting Mastering Probability in the newsletter tab.
If you haven't checked out the newsletters page of TFNN.com, what are you waiting for? All of the TFNN newsletters are informative, up-to-date, affordable, and a must-have for every trader looking to gain a competitive informational edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets to offer you the very latest in market news. Plus, new subscribers get to test drive our newsletters risk-free for 30 days. From all aspects of the markets, including stocks, bonds, metals, commodities, and tech, there's a newsletter to fit your needs exclusively from TFNN. Stay informed each day you trade and get that competitive edge that will help you stay ahead of the game. Visit our newsletters page by going to TFNN.com and click the newsletters button near the top of the page. TFNN.com, educating investors.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated folic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive.
We take it every morning. Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige, a living a primal lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Welcome back, folks. We got the S&Ps negative by 57 points now, and pulling the S&Ps up on the chart to check it out as we wrap up the program. 3310 we're sitting at right now. We actually touched on the initial thrust downward right at 3,000 on the dot. That low there, 3,325 cents. We come down and make a low at about 6 a.m. of 3304, and you can see within about 7 to 10 points of those lows. Now, the lows of the week on early Wednesday, we were as low as about 32.91, 32.92, 32.91.25 to be exact on Wednesday. The opening, it's not going to be much more of an interesting open in the market, folks, to figure out where the buyers are, where the sellers are. Time will tell. We got about 35 minutes to go until that opening bell. Jumping around to a stock with positive action today. Not many of them, Twilio. So Twilio up from 256 to about 279. And what they're talking about, jumping down to the headlines, they raised its forecast for the quarter that ended September 30th. Cloud services company benefiting from the increase in remote working and education. They come out with their numbers November 4th, but already getting ahead of that, raising the numbers that they're looking for. And it's a good time to be in that cloud business, that's for sure. All right, jumping around to what else we got going on, checking out some of the FANG stocks. Netflix shares down a bit as well from 530 to about 514. We covered Tesla. Microsoft shares trading lower to about 208.06. But these stocks, you see the little bounce they got. I mean, right at 8 a.m., you were down as low as 206.69, and we're currently sitting about $1.50 above that level. Apple shares, pretty similar deal. 113.20 right now from a close of 116.79 on yesterday. Facebook shares 260.58 from about 268. We'll see where we go, folks. Negative action definitely on this market, and it's a breaking story. There's going to be a lot of headlines out today. Look for some volatility, get some defined risk. Keep those fingers quick on those trades, because I imagine we're going to see some serious swings. Even if we get a bump here on the open, there could be some sell-offs in terms of news breaking. We get a sell-off on the open, eventually you're going to get a bounce. We'll see where we end up for Friday. Very interesting. It all happens on a Friday. As in, are you going to be a buyer or a seller over the weekend? Tough argument to make on a buyer. Stay tuned, folks. Larry Pesavento, he's coming up next. We'll be right back.